As an obvious Nintendo enjoyer, you'd think that I'd at least be really looking forward to Switch 2. After all, it's pretty much just a better version of one of my favorite consoles ever. On paper, buying this thing is the easiest decision in the world, but Nintendo is making it very difficult. Switch 2 is more or less exactly what you expected it to be. A more powerful Switch, which isn't a bad thing. That's what everyone wanted it to be. But between there only being like 2 games announced for this thing and the price, it's hard for me to be excited about any of this. The price of the console itself is okay. I mean, like, considering the hardware and the screen and all that junk, I can kind of understand the pricing. Like, even without getting into any of the potential tariff bullshit, like, I'm not even talking about those. There's just too much misinformation about that. Ultimately, it doesn't matter why it's $450. It could be tariffs, it could be corporate greed, but the fact is that it costs $450, and that's slightly too high for my liking, which honestly, if there was something I really wanted to play on this thing, I'd be able to stomach the price better. And it's such a weird thing. If I bought this console for this price, I feel that I could get my money's worth in the long term. Even if I haven't played my PS5 much lately, I still feel like I did get my money's worth with it, despite how expensive it still is. But since there isn't anything I want to play enough to pay this amount of money for the console itself, I'd have a hard time justifying it. And after thinking about it longer, I feel like I was being a bit overly dramatic about the price thing, because the only reason why I wasn't buying it was because it cost $50 more than I would have liked. With how much I played my Switch and even my Wii U, I wouldn't really care about paying slightly more than I think I should have. But the real problem for me is the game prices. Like, I get raising some games to $70. I don't like it, but I get it. But Mario Kart World is $80. Like, look, I like Mario Kart, but I don't even $70 like it, let alone $80. There's obviously that Mario Kart bundle for $500, which effectively means you can get for $50, which is obviously a fair price, in a vacuum at least, but this bundle is only lasting until the fall, I think. So, statistically speaking, the vast majority of people are going to have to spend $80, because you know Nintendo isn't going to lower the price, especially not on Mario Kart. And it's not even like this weird scenario where like an $80 game is like this one-time thing. Microsoft saw this and said, hey guys, we're raising our prices too. Suffer. I don't know who in their right mind is going to pay $600 for an Xbox Series X. So if this console really has $80 games as the norm, at least in a worst case scenario, I just had to ask myself what games I actually would pay $80 for. Okay, let's see. 3D Zelda. I would pay basically any amount of money to play Breath of the Wild 3. 3D Mario, but $80 is probably the max amount for something similar to Odyssey. Metroid. Again, I would pay any amount of money to play Metroid Prime 4, assuming it's a real video game, not an elaborate prank. Xenoblade. These games are incredibly peak and go for 60 to 80 hours. I'd probably pay $80 for Persona 6 for the same reasons, and by extension, a theoretical metaphor too. I probably would pay $80 for Pokemon, assuming it looks like something that was made in the last 5 years. I would not pay $80 for Legend ZA, and I would probably pay $80 for Smash Brothers, I guess. It kind of depends on what happens. I'm just kind of burned out on these games right now. It depends on my mood when the game comes out. Yeah, that's pretty much it. That was what, like 8 series out of the near infinite number of games there are? With pretty much everything else, I would never even consider paying this much money for one game. Oh, what about Grand Theft Auto? You'd pay $100 for that game, right? No, you don't know me at all if you think I would pay $100 for Grand Theft Auto 6. I didn't even remember what the number was. That's how little I care about this game. Like, I'll buy the PC version when it's like $20 on Steam, so approximately 6 years from now. I don't care. I don't actually want to play the game that much. I'm already hesitant to pay $70 for games. Why would I pay even more? Like, I love Doom 2016 and Eternal, but I didn't $70 love them. So I ended up not really caring about playing the Dark Ages. The only reason why I'm playing it anyway is because someone in my Steam family bought it. So if I have free legal access to it, I don't see any reason not to play it. But, you know, I didn't feel the need to buy it with my own money. Otherwise, I would just wait for a sale. I still need to play like Ultra Kill and Dusk. So yeah, Celico's looking pretty cool right about now. Ghost of Tsushima's like that too. Oh, I love that game. It was my game of the year from that year. But even that wasn't a game that I $70 loved. Astrobot's the same deal. It was my game of the year last year, but I think I'd only go $70 max with that one. If $80 games become more common, why buy a console where most of the games I'm buying are a price that I don't want to pay. It's pretty crazy how much the price tag can make all the difference. If Switch 2 was $400 and Mario Kart was only $70, I probably wouldn't even question anything. I would have just bought it. Even now, I have the money for it. I'm not going to regret buying it, but now that I've thought about it more, I don't think I even need it. The only 2 games that I really want to play on this thing are also on Switch 1. I played Spider-Man Miles Morales on PS4 and I still had a blast. The PS5 version didn't offer anything game-changing that would have made me like it way more. I always got a free upgrade, so when I ended up replaying it, I got to play the better version of the game instead. But again, they were fundamentally the same game that I enjoyed about equally both times. I'm probably gonna enjoy Prime 4 and Legend ZA regardless of whether I'm playing the prettier version or not. And to be honest, I've been spending so much time playing games I already bought that I haven't felt much need to buy new games lately. Now, I did splurge a bit and got Xenoblade X Definitive Edition, Blueprints, and Expedition 33, but that was it, and I loved all 3 of them, so yeah. Play all of them. Now, despite everything I just said, I'm probably still buying a Switch 2 eventually. I've just kind of accepted that Nintendo has me by the balls and all it takes is one worthwhile game for me to cave. Like, I own a Wii U. I will buy whatever these people make regardless of quality or value. Also, the Wii U was good, I swear. I might be part of the problem. As of right now, I don't see any reason for me to buy one now. Maybe something will change in a few months. Maybe they shove some shiny new thing in my face. I'm just like, fine, just give me my Zelda or Xenoblade or Mario, whatever. I don't care anymore. Am I allowed to cope for Kid Icarus Uprising right now? Like, not even a new game, just like the original, like a remaster of that. Am I allowed to hope in this video? But until then, I feel content just playing the games I already have. Look, I'm not here to rage bait. I'm not here to convince you to do anything. If you don't want to buy a Switch 2, you don't need to make some big statement about this thing by not buying it. Either you want the console, so you buy it, or you think it's too expensive, so you don't buy it. It's not that complicated. I don't care about what you do with your money. It's just video games. If this ends up meaning that game prices are going up, it sucks, but no one's forcing you to buy anything. If you wait for a sale or buy a used copy or something, you don't have to pay that much. If you think it's too much money, maybe ask yourself if you even need it in the first place. Maybe play something else while you wait for a sale. At this point, it's questionable if voting with your wallet even works because so many people just buy it anyway. But again, if you think a game is too expensive, you don't have to buy it. You can just play something else. I've been seeing a lot more people adopt this kind of mindset lately. Prices on everything just keep going up. What other way is there to save money than to just not spend it in the first place? I'm kind of curious how this way of thinking might bleed into sales. Like, everything's so expensive now that even games are starting to be too expensive. People are obviously still going to buy games, but now that they cost $70 to $80, they might be a lot more selective with which ones they do buy. Switch 2 is obviously going to do well, but the question is how well. A big thing I don't see people really talking about is families. Maybe you bought one Switch because that's all you need, but there's plenty of families that bought each of their kids a Switch because they were so relatively cheap. Like, you have to remember that Switch Lite only costs $200. If they buy each of their kids a Switch, that's not one sale, that's like 2 or 3. And like, because of the higher price tag, maybe those same families just buy one, and maybe a lot of them buy a refurbished one. If Pokemon is $80, those kids are probably gonna have to share. My one cousin with 3 kids bought them a refurbished PS5 because they couldn't afford one otherwise. It could be a pretty common experience going forward. Now, with the PS4s, I think a lot of people actually bought like multiple PS4s over time, but PS5 is just expensive enough to where they only bought one. It's like, I've heard multiple people be like, you know, a PS5 Slim would be really nice, but it's too expensive. I'll just deal with it. I don't care that much. And you know, I could be wrong about all this stuff. I probably am wrong about all this stuff, but I keep seeing it everywhere. People think this stuff is too expensive. Even if they're in the minority, there definitely does seem to be a good chunk of people that are a lot more cautious about what they're buying. And that's probably going to hurt the raw sales numbers in the long run. Maybe they make more money overall, but if less people are buying these games, less people are talking about them, which means that it sticks in people's minds for way less time. There might be more games that are just forgotten about because relatively few people played it because it was too expensive at launch. MEO the Smiling Man is good, I swear. Again, I'm probably wrong about all this, but it's just some food for thought. It's an interesting scenario to think about. I was kind of all over the place with this, but I don't really care. I've run out of stuff to say, so it's been fun. Take care, everyone.